TV47 Weekend. These are some of the stories making headlines tonight.
Ahead on TV47 Weekend. Mutura it is. Benson Mutura is picked to replace Beatrice Elachi as Nairobi County Assembly Speaker in an election
A very warm welcome on TV47 Weekend. My name is Mombi Chege. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Anne Wairimo. Now, former Makadara MP Benson Mutura has been elected as the Nairobi County Assembly Speaker. Mutura won the election after receiving 99 out of 122 votes in the first round. This comes barely a week after embattled Beatrice Elachi resigned from the hot seat, bringing to an end incessant fights with the MCAs.
In a highly contested vote that took place earlier today virtually due to measures taken to prevent the spread of COVID-19, Benson Mutura defeated 5 other candidates in the race to succeed Beatrice Elachi, who was the first woman Speaker of the Capital's Assembly. Elachi resigned on Tuesday, closing a chaotic chapter marred by supremacy battles with suspended clerk Jacob Ngwele and Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko. The former MP took the oath of office after being declared the winner by acting Speaker and Ruai MCA John Kamangu. He defeated other candidates, among them Alan Chacha, Abdi Ali Abdi, former Nairobi Economic Planning Chief Officer Odinga Odhiambo Washington, former MCA Mike Obonyo Guoro, and former Nairobi Deputy Speaker Kennedy Okeyo Ngondi.
I, Benson Mutura Kangara, having been elected the Speaker of the County Assembly of Nairobi City, do swear in the name of the Almighty, mighty God, that I shall always and diligently serve the people and the Republic of Kenya in the office of the Speaker of the County Assembly of Nairobi.
Mutura adjourned the sittings to September 8th after taking over from acting Speaker John Kamangu, who is also the Deputy Speaker. He thanked President Uhuru Kenyatta, Jubilee and the opposition for having faith in him and promised to be a servant for all and to embrace divergent views. For TV47, I'm Zainab Mohammed.
Thank you, Zainab, for that report. Now, Kenya Medical Supplies Authority Board, KEMSA, has suspended its CEO and 2 other directors to allow EACC conduct proper investigations. This follows allegations of misappropriation of funds in the procurement of PPEs in the fight against COVID-19 by officials in the body.
KEMSA's board chairman Kembi Gitura earlier Friday announced the suspension of the CEO Dr. Jonah Mwangi Manjari, Commercial Director Eliud Mureithi, and the Procurement Director Charles Juma, a move that's meant to pave way for the EACC to finalize investigations on the body that's been on the spot for months now.
As you know, KEMSA has been under the radar. The EACC has been carrying out investigations on the runnings to do with COVID-19 procurements. And all the executive directors of KEMSA, and there are 7 of them leading different directorates, have recorded statements with KEMSA, with the EACC. The investigations are ongoing. But as they are going on, the EACC has written to us as a board and requested us to allow them to go on with the investigations, what needs to be done. And they've asked us as a board, or rather they asked me as chairman of the board, wrote to me and asked me to suspend 3 of the senior management officers of KEMSA so that the investigations can go on.
In the meantime, the board has appointed Operations Director Edward Njoroge Njuguna as the acting CEO, George Walukana, the acting Commercial Director, and Edward Buluma, the acting Procurement Director.
In procurement, we have appointed Mr. Buluma to act as the Procurement Director in place of Director Charles Juma, whom, like I say, stands suspended. And in place of the Commercial Director, we have appointed Dr. George Walukana to act as the Commercial Director. So nothing is going to stop. Everything will continue per normal at KEMSA.
Kembi also assured the body's cooperation with the EACC in bringing to book any officials found culpable.
And we want to assure everybody in this country that we as a board of directors, we are committed to bring KEMSA to what it ought to be, a leading organization under the Ministry of Health, bringing health closer to the people, and particularly in bringing out the success of our President's agenda number 4 item on universal health coverage.
KEMSA, which has been mandated to buy drugs for all public health facilities in the country, has been on the spot for procuring COVID-19 emergency equipment at exaggerated prices.
And Migori Governor Okoth Obado was put to task to explain how 1.5 billion shillings was spent of IFMIS in the financial year 2017-2018. Appearing before the County Public Accounts Committee, chaired by Kisii Senator Sam Ongeri, Obado was also at pains to explain 153 million shillings spent on payment of employees without proper documentation. The governor blamed the lack of documentation on a fire which burnt county offices.
Is IFMIS report, but now collaborative evidence, Honorable Chair, like payment vouchers, contract documents, and the rest, we were not really provided, Honorable Chair, to really support, but the report we were provided was IFMIS generated report. Now, it has been an uphill task, because for you to construct a whole record and be certified, it means you have to start procurement process from zero. You have to go and get requisitions, the budget, the award, the BDB documents, the evaluation reports, everything.
No scope, because most of those documents got banned, like the payment vouchers. So we just keep on asking the same thing each and every step. I'm afraid we are not going to move.
No, Governor, let me advise you. That may have been well with the other financial matters, but on matters of personnel, you seem to have provided the vouchers. So don't contradict yourself.
Because the information that the governor read regarding reconstruction, IFMIS has revealed, and that is verifiable, that 623 million was spent on wages. IFMIS has also revealed that 398 million was spent on procurement issues. But it remains a figure unless the auditor is able to go and find out something to explain how it was spent. The governor has explained that EACC went, but unfortunately, as we just deal with the auditor, that is the gap.
But as we speak, we have now put a stone perimeter fence around the offices. We have moved our documents from those semi-permanent structures, and we have even installed CCTV or cameras to ensure that if it was an act of human being, an act of arson, then or they can be captured from our CCTV footings.
2.2 was reconciled. 153 was not reconciled. Can you then now provide this document to show that you have further reconciled the 153 million and you put it on the IPPD? Because as we stand, Governor, I don't want to lie to you. When I sit down to write this report, I'll put your documents on the table. I will say, I need to see this reconciliation. Otherwise, I'll just be lying to you here.
Categories of employees. There are permanent employees that are paid through IPPD. They are permanent employees that because their names have not been captured in IPPD are paid through vouchers. And then they are temporary employees.
And tricks by some school heads to siphon millions of shillings from the government's kind gesture to pay teachers employed by boards of management and non-teaching staff through ghost workers is the reason the government reversed the funds. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha, during a fact-finding mission in Eldoret today, disclosed that the records his team received from the schools was going to make the government lose millions of shillings through corruption.
The CS said they have launched verification of both teachers and non-teaching staff before they can load money again for them to be paid.
Our job with Dr. Billy Kipsang here is to ensure that that money is not stolen. So if we stepped back to confirm and reaffirm the numbers and you don't like it, then you can do whatever you want. So we have no apologies to make for saying no. There's a discordance between this number that we are being given by this entity and this other number that we are being given by this entity. Can we go back to the field and confirm the numbers?
For the community-based learning, which has been marred by confusion, the CAs took issue with the teachers who are demanding for personal protective equipment PPEs, thermogans and sanitizers, arguing that they are supposed to engage those within their locality.
If you live in a group of buildings which is gated that has about 30 children and there's one teacher there, why are you saying you need PPEs? If you don't want to teach the children, then don't bother. The children belong to you. Instead of teachers earning money and staying at home, they should teach the children around them. That's the concept.
According to the CS, the schools will continue to remain closed until January 2021, noting that the government will not give in to the pressure of parents.
We shall not open the schools, period. Community learning is not going to be in schools.
The CS further said the reopening of the colleges and universities will depend on the manner in which they have met the requirements of the Ministry of Health to contain the virus.
I can dare say that they are going to reopen ahead of others. If they can assure us clearly that the trajectory they have taken is a continuous one, we shall look at them again in about a month and decide.
Calvin Chitwa, TV47, was in Gishu County.
Now, senators opposed to the disputed third generation formula, claiming to have been receiving threats and intimidation over their position on the third basis on revenue sharing, now say they won't change their resolve over the matter. Now they have challenged the House leadership to seek for an amicable solution rather than intimidations on senators.
As Senate heads to another special sitting on Monday next week, senators opposed to the third generation formula claim to have been receiving intimidation calls from some leaders in the Senate. Now Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala blaming the Senate leadership over derailing the process of finding a solution on the formula to share money to the counties.
Let Senator Orengo, Senator Pogisho open up channels for negotiations with other senators. This matter can only be addressed amicably if we have people talking, if we have senators engaging in some formal way. But what they are doing, they are calling one senator at a time and trying to lobby them to vote otherwise without giving them reason and without ceding ground. All we are asking for, can they cede ground?
This comes amidst claims that some senators had been given 5 million shillings to change their stand on the third generation formula or to have their accounts frozen. But now Malala blames Majority Whip Irungu Kangata for spreading the rumor.
We have a group of lobbyists who are moving around town to try and coerce and intimidate honorable senators to have them vote in a specific way. I wish to tell those lobbyists that I will not be intimidated and I will maintain my stand.
Despite of the disputed third-generation formula favoring Kakamega County, which if passed would have benefited with 900 million shillings, still Malala holds firmly that no county should gain in expense of another.
Principal basis that as a senator, and I even reiterated this on the floor of the House, as a senator who is keen to bring Kenya together and to have one nation, I will not stand with a formula that is going to divide this country on the basis of marginalized counties and those which are not marginalized.
It's not practical that we can be able to conclude this matter.
Nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura rallies the senators to strike a deal come Monday.
Ningependa kuwaomba maseneta wenzangu kwamba tuweze kufanya hili jukumu kama jukumu la kitaifa. Kwa sababu ninaona kuna watu ambao wanaingiza siasa ya 2022, wengine wanaingiza siasa ya kwamba hawana viti, walikuweko hawana viti, na hususan zaidi kila mtu anaangalia kaunti yake. Lazima tupate suluhisho kwa sababu Mungu hakukosea akituleta katika hii nchi pamoja. Hata kama tuna maoni tofauti tofauti, hata kama tuna dhana mbadala, ni muhimu sana tuamue kwamba lazima tulete suluhu katika nchi yetu ya Kenya.
Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47 Nairobi.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for that report. Many thanks for staying with us here on TV47 Weekend. Let's take a short break, but remember, it is a Friday night. That means good vibes. Our reporters Mwangi Maina and David Mudhoka will be joining me later on to discuss some of the amazing stories they've been able to come across this week. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i is set to launch a nationwide cleanup exercise and fumigation of all police stations on Monday, following the increasing number of COVID-19 cases being reported in the facilities. Matiang'i was speaking after having a meeting with Nairobi region security officials, where they settled on a plan to support NMS achieve its objectives through building administrative cohesion to ensure the success of current and future development projects.
The purpose of this really is to ensure that we serve our people better. We are going to do several other activities. On Monday, we are launching the cleaning of police stations campaign across the country at the current police station, and cleaning our prison facilities across the country. In collaboration with the Nairobi Metropolitan Service, you saw the other day we have now launched the digital OB, and we're piloting it in Nairobi, and we are going to pilot several things. Even the cleaning of police stations across the country, we are going to start with Nairobi as a pilot arrangement to be sure that all police stations are cleaned, repainted, and organized. The focus really is, as has been stated several times by His Excellency, our President, to ensure that we deliver services to our people. Nothing more, just plainly that.
The civil society members have come out to strongly oppose the Pensions Amendment Bill number 45 of 2019 that seeks to increase the pension of former Member of Parliament who served between 1st July 1984 to 1st January 2000 to a minimum of 100,000 shillings per month. Now, according to civil society members, the bill is a malicious move by members of Parliament to benefit themselves while overburdening taxpayers, something they will not be party to. Now, they are now calling on the President to reject the bill that is currently awaiting presidential assent.
We strongly express our reservations, as the bill is a bold attempt by Parliament to undermine the mandate of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, that's SRC, as expressed in the Constitution. SRC is mandated by the Constitution of Kenya to set and regularly review the remuneration and benefits of all state officers. The SRC Act in Section 11G vests on SRC the mandate to make recommendations to the government on the review of pensions payable to current and past holders of public office. The bill is therefore in contravention of Article 234A of the Constitution of Kenya, as pension is an employment benefit and therefore falls within the mandate of SRC. Any proposal for review of pensions for MPs should be tabled before the SRC and justifications provided.
We wish to remind the President of Kenya and all leaders in Kenya that state and public servants only represent 17% of the population of Kenya. Thus, the attempt to continue advancing disproportionate benefits to them at the expense of other Kenyans must be resisted. Indeed, this is a misguided move that seeks to perpetuate the culture of white-collar jobs that are limited.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has announced a national cleanup campaign to boost the country's environmental conservation efforts. Now, the president said the campaign, which is set to kick off on September 1st, is dubbed Cleaning Up Kenya Campaign and shall be led by cadres of the National Government Administration Officers. President Kenyatta spoke today evening during the launch of the Mishuki Memorial Park in Nairobi County. The park is named in honor of the late former Minister John Mishuki, who played a key role in the cleanup of Nairobi River and its environs during his tenure as the Minister for Environment.
Indeed, the late Honorable John Michuki, in his own words, said, and I quote, "A nation that ignores its environment has no future, end of quote. And what he meant is that the future is not in the concrete spaces, the future is in the green spaces bequeathed to us by nature and God. What may appear as progress, but at the expense of the environment, is not what we call today sustainable development.
And elsewhere, Rwanda Biomedical Center has rolled out a plan to test curfew violators for COVID-19. Over 200 violators were tested on Thursday night when the institution embarked on the plan. Diana Iriza, TV47's correspondent in Rwanda, has the report.
Now, ever since the country implemented the 9 p.m. curfew due to COVID-19, the Rwandan police has been capturing curfew violators past 9 p.m. and taking them to the National Stadium where they get to spend a night. Yesterday, over 200 curfew violators were captured by the Rwandan police, and according to the Biomedical Center, these curfew violators were tested that same night where the institution implemented this plan of testing curfew violators. According to the Rwanda Biomedical Center, the testing was carried out at all the 4 centers in the city of Kigali, including Amahoro Stadium, Kichukiro and Kigali Stadiums, as well as the Independent University of Kigali, ULK, ground in Gisozi, where the violators are taken. The centers are wide spaces used to control movements beyond 9 p.m., where those caught violating the 9 p.m. restriction are educated on the pandemic, enlightened on the directives, and reminded of prevention practices. The Rwanda Biomedical Center explained that they are working with the Rwanda National Police to add clusters of violators on the list of those to be sampled and tested. It also says that it has started with those who move beyond 9 p.m., but they will continue to extend it to others, including those who are caught not wearing face masks. The Rwanda Biomedical Center observed that such violations can give room to further spread of the virus, adding that testing many people or clusters helps to trace contacts as well as to understand and respond to the problem. Now, the move follows a significant increase of the Rwanda's COVID-19 testing measures. And according to the statistics that we have, Rwanda has carried out a number of 319,295 COVID-19 sample tests, 2,200 of whom are positive cases, and a total of 1,558 recovered cases. The country's COVID-19 deaths remain at 8 people. Citizens and non-citizens who want to depart the country are still being obligated to carry out tests. However, these tests are not free anymore. They are being charged by the Rwanda Biomedical Center. Diana Iriza, Kigali, Rwanda.
Thank you, Diana, for that report on COVID-19 from Rwanda. Thank you once again for staying with us here on TV47. We'll be taking another short break, but remember, we'll be back with good vibes, and my colleagues Mwangi Maina and David Modoka will be joining me shortly. Don't go away. Welcome back, and it's that time of the night. It's time for good vibes. And joining me for that segment is our reporters, Mwangi Maina and David Mudoka. Mwangi, good to see you tonight. You've been quite lost.
Wow, good to see you. I'm back again after 2 weeks break. I'm here back on Good Vibes, Mumbi. As always, we serve the country with good vibes each and every Friday.
Yes, it's been a minute, Mwangi, and it's good to have you back on set as well.
Feels good to be back on Good Vibes. I'm a good vibe myself, and of course, let's see what we have today.
All right, we'll be starting off with Mwangi's story. What have you been up to this week?
Wow, this week, of course, it's been interesting, awesome. I visited some kids in Huruma. That is here in Nairobi. Some kids, about 25 in number, a group of creative children who have come together at this time of coronavirus to explore their talents, what they have. We have musicians there, we have dancers, we have comedians, and of course we have actors who are imitating and acting what they see on TV, be it advertisements, be it music, or be it news items. Mumbi, take it away.
Now, as many children continue to stay idle at home following the closure of schools, Kimaina. And Mwangi, whenever you do a story, you always come back with something. I mean, the least you could have done this time around was dance with the kids. Or are your dancing skills a bit rusty?
No, actually, I did dance with the kids for almost 30 minutes. We were enjoying our afternoon yesterday, and it was simply awesome and wonderful. What those kids, Mumbi and Muthoka, if you have heard the wisdom and the knowledge these kids are oozing, it's simply impeccable. And that's why we're calling them Huruma's finest. You see, a 10-year-old saying, oh, you know, a devil's mind is an idle mind is a devil's workshop, and they have to keep themselves busy telling other kids to switch off their parents so that they can allow them to utilize their talents. And I don't think we need to sweet talk our parents to let them allow us to put our talents into his Muthoka. What do you think?
Mwangi, you definitely have to provide proof that you did a move or two with the little guys there at Ruma, because when you came back, actually, Mumbi, Mwangi had not even broken a sweat. Yeah, I mean, we definitely need proof from that.
I think, okay, maybe my camera person did not frame me properly well, but at least I tried where I could. So I danced with the kids, and that's simply amazing.
Bottom line, you need proof.
Okay, then I think after this show, after the good vibes, then I might give our viewer, maybe they see that I'm a pro in that, but they taught me how to dance, and they are really doing excellent. So you have seen what they are acting, what they are seeing on TV, the advertisements, the news content, the music you have seen, Diamond and other musicians there. And I think these kids, whatever they are doing, they are utilizing their time positively at a time when the country is experiencing a huge number of teenage pregnancies, children misbehaving because, 5 months of being away from school, I think this is an alternative way of being in class. And what those kids are doing, it's simply amazing.
Mwangi, I'd like to reiterate something that you just said before. The fact that these kids are very young at heart doesn't deter them from being very skillful and very sharp upstairs. And as I was watching your story, I was quite interested in the bites, and you could hear them, speak of virtues and principles that, that will propel them into what they would like to do next. So, I mean, it's quite interesting. There was that young boy was saying, without discipline in this kind of a career, I mean, you won't go far.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Quite amazing. And I just really noticed the confidence in those kids. They're so eloquent, the way they're able to speak. I remember when we were growing up, I mean, we were so shy, but those kids are just, outspoken,
they have even challenged
speaking their minds. It's really challenging. And another thing, it's also the power of the media, something that's really noted. So what we put out there is equally important.
When I reached there at a place called Casanova in Huruma, get the word right, Casanova. So, and I met the children there. We were waiting for us. And when I started speaking to them, to these 10-year-olds, to the 9-year-olds, actually, what I can say, they challenged me and they made me lower my ego. Okay, I don't have an ego, but they made me just to come down to their level. These kids, most of them, they come from very humble families. And one thing maybe Mumbi and Muthoka would want to say, nobody knows the future of these kids, but definitely theirs is a bright one. And I think it's high time we appreciate the talents that our children are having, because they might be the future of this country. They might be the future, they might be in Hollywood, they might be the biggest musicians to come, they might be the biggest actors to come, people who have big names, news anchors there, they are comedians, and I think what they are doing simply is amazing. And they send me with one message to our viewer, that if you are there and you can support them with that talent to develop more, just find them wherever they are.
And absolutely, in 2020, they have everything at their disposal to be very creative. Now with technology, it's not as difficult as it was when the likes of Mumbi were growing up.
Are you throwing shade? Muthoka, the likes of Mumbi. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Mwangi is in their caliber, so...
Thank you so much for that, Mwangi. An amazing report, and we got to give it to the parents for supporting the kids. We also need to support our kids as a society, as a community, to ensure that we nurture their talents. You just never know about tomorrow, like Mwangi has said. Thank you so much, Mwangi, for that report. Muthoka, what have you been up to?
So this week I set out on a task to speak with one of Africa's fastest and best superbike riders. And guess what? He's born and bred in Kenya, right in Molo, Nakuru County. He's been to many competitions. He's won a number of accolades, and one memorable one is his first runners-up position at Continental Race in South Africa last year. Quite inspirational, and you know the things that he was doing. Wow, he's quite the adrenaline junkie, and you know it left my nerves twitching, and I couldn't help myself from that movie. You can take a
awesome.
Yes.
Now, at only 22 years, Evans Muigai is among Africa's fastest motorcycle riders, having competed in various championships locally and internationally. Evans has amassed for himself numerous accolades and does not plan on quitting anytime soon. Our reporter David Mudoka met the Nakuru-born rider and filed this report on Muigai's ambitions, challenges and journey to the top.
It is one of the many breathtaking displays by 22 years old motorcycle rider Evans Muigai. What many will consider out of this world is Muigai's cup of tea, and at an arguably tender age, the Nakuru-born and bred rider has seen his antics behind the wheel catapult him into not only a superbike local champion, but a regional one as well. But where did his love for the bikes start?
So mi wakati seme nilijipata kwa hii dunia, nilipata my father alikuwa mechanic wa machines, cars, bikes, yani any kind of machine yenye inaguruma alikuwa mechanic. So nili grow up nikijua kufix bike, nika grow up nikijua kuride. So wakati huo nikiwa mdogo sasa aliona niko na interest ya kutaka bike sana, akanitafutia bike za watoto zile ndogo, so akaanza kunifunza nazo.
In search for a bigger challenge, it was time for Muigai to search for his racing peers. He prides of literally having given them a run for their money whenever they are squaring it out on the tracks.
In every race, I just win. Nikienda race now, I am the winning. So napata mindo na chukua tu race zote.
Despite the many accolades, he vividly reminisces last year Continental Superbike competition in South Africa. It is one that has earned him a seat at the table among Africa's elite, a title he does not plan on losing anytime soon.
So wakati nienda pale South Africa, it was very challenging, but although nili try my best kabisa, nikawa number 2. Na tulikuwa watu 24 bikes. So na tulikuwa country mobs. Countries zilikuwa mingi huko. So nika try my best, and nilikuwa na ride bike ndogo 600cc. Wengine watu walikuwa na 1000. Na nikawa beat.
But like any other journey, leaps and bounds are inevitable. He reverts back to 2018 when he had an accident in Muranga at a racing duel. In what he describes as his lowest moment, he ended up with the burden of nursing a fracture for 2 months and that of having to buy a new motorbike.
So kondo nilipata my first big accident, of which lori ilikuwa ina cross barabara, so ikawacha some nyasi na matope kwa barabara. So and me with my speed, so sikufikiria kuna kupata kuwa na matope ama nini. So with a bike like this, ikipata mchanga tu ama some loose gravels, hiyo tu uko down.
He reveals that he has followed in his father's footsteps, who is a mechanic whenever he is not racing. He says he intends to keep his ambitions alive, and when asked about where he sees himself in a few years from now,
mi ningependa kuwa like Marquez, yeye ndo world champion, so naye ana race MotoGP, so naweza penda kujipata place kama ile, cause I know I can really do something.
And with bike racing competitions not as embraced as other sports such as football, athletics and rugby in the country, Evans hopes that the government will soon treat motorbike championships with the seriousness they deserve.
Yes. Yeah. So ningetaka at least kama kuna support anaweza nishika mkono Naweza furahi sana nikiwa place kama nikienda kama SBK.
At just 22 years of age, Evans is simply living his dream. To him, the sky remains the limit, and he adds, of what use are mountains if they are not there to be climbed? He, however, has one piece of advice to each one of us. Don't you try this at home. David Muthoka, TV47, Nairobi.
Amazing story there by David Muthoka. I was hoping to see you.
I'm wondering, Mombi, beyond ignition, what else can Muthoka do?
I can tell you this for a fact. After that ignition, even the camera couldn't spot me anywhere.
Mombi, what do you
think? So basically, both of you, Mwangi danced, not on camera. You rode the motorbike, not on.
I want to challenge me that I didn't dance with the kids, and I'm asking beyond the ignition, because you see, okay, he's igniting, and then just there, and then like,
I mean, I have an alibi. Ask my camera person, Noreen Mombi.
Yeah.
She couldn't, spot me anywhere.
Yeah,
I simply fled off.
But all in all, Mombi and Muthoka, I think it's a brilliant story of a self-taught. I think I don't know what to call him, a bike rider, because this is not your normal bike rider, a normal Buddha guy, self-taught at 22 years of age only. And I was speaking with Muthoka when the story was running. He was telling me that the family is a family of bikers, surprisingly.
Absolutely. The mother, the brothers, including the youngest in the family is in class 8 right now. And he's a very amazing biker. I wish we had met him.
So this is something that he's been doing since he was very young. You know, it just goes to show that parents need to be very keen on the interests of their kids. What are they interested in? It doesn't have to be what the family is doing, but what is your child interested in, so that you can nurture that talent. So that's really, really amazing there.
And I think, Mombi, we still go back to where we were in the first story of the Huruma Awesome Kids. It's all about talent. You know, that's what we were saying, that you don't know where your talent will take you. This man, at only 22 years of age, he has gone for the Africa, you've called it Muthoka African Championship
the African
Cup.
Superbike Championship.
Yeah, and coming at the first runners-up, at only 22, he has gone to South Africa. I want you to imagine what if the parent discouraged this young man from doing the bike riding and all that. Now see where he is, and his star is continuing to rise. And you know, after this COVID-19, of course, the sports will be kicking again. So we can only wish that this man Evans, wherever he's going, that always he will become a winner and a champion to challenge many people.
And it's also about not giving up. He's mentioned that he's had a few falls.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, he could have easily given up. This is not for me. I'm not cut out for this. But he continued. So the resilience in him is quite amazing. Awesome job, awesome story, Muthoka and Mwangi. And hoping to have you again here next week on Friday for Good Vibe Stories. Amidst all the negativity that's going on, COVID-19, I mean, at least we have a reason to smile, right? Good vibes. Thank you so much once again, David and Mwangi. Thank you for staying with us here on TV47 Weekend on Good Vibes. And if you have any story ideas you'd want aired here, Good Vibe ideas or Good Vibes ideas, be free or feel free to share them with us. Yes, and we'll be going to Kakamega, where police in that area are investigating claims that a community health worker tricked 4 girls into getting contraceptive implants. The girls, aged between 12 and 16, claim the volunteer health worker lured them to Sanda Health Center at the Siru village in Lurambi constituency last week after promising them free sanitary pads. Mulindi Kerry now reports.
It is an incident that has left the parents to the girls in shock. According to one of the girls, a health worker approached them, promising to give out free sanitary pads at Musanda Health Center. On arrival, the 4 girls were given forms and asked to write the names of their parents, after which they were ushered into a private room, one at a time, for an injection.
Watoto wanapojieleza wanasema kuna mama aliowasanya na akawapeleka kule Musanda, na kwa ile hali hawakujua wanaenda kufanya nini.
Hataweza kupata sababu tayari ya shindani imeshawaharibu, na mimi ningeomba tu serikali ichukue hatua kubwa tuweze kusaidia watoto.
The girls were later informed that the injection they had received was meant to prevent them from getting pregnant, as many girls have during the COVID-19 pandemic. The information was never disclosed to their parents. However, 4 days later, one of the girl's arms started swelling and the pain became unbearable. Her mother, however, took her to a health facility, but however was referred back to the health center where the transplants are said to have been inserted. Attempts to reach the health facility management were however futile, and were only referred to Kakamega Central Sub-County Police Boss David Kabena.
Aliwachukua akawapeleka zahanati ama hospitali moja inayojulikana kama Msanda Health Center, ambapo aliwaambia wanaenda kupewa always. Kufika kule wakaingizwa moja ndani, na baadaye wakaombwa namba za wazazi na kuelezewa wanapigia wazazi simu. Bila mtoto kufahamu nini kinaendelea, akaambiwa alale kwa kitanda, kadungwa shindano, na baadaye pale mahali ni kama palikufa ganzi, wakaeka hiyo shindano. Na walipotoka pale ndio wakakatishwa kuongeleshwa, akaambiwa hiyo ni shindano ya family planning. Sasa anaruhusiwa kuwa na wanaume, ama akifanya ngono hawezi pata mimba.
Hii habari nilipopata ilinishangaza kwa sababu sikuwa najua. Na nilipopigiwa simu na Madam OCS, akaniita pale police station, akanioji, nikajaribu kumuelezea jinsi ilivyo. So tulishinda kule jana na tukasuluhisha kwamba watoto waweze kurudi kwenda kutolea zile shindano.
Kakamega Central Sub-County Police Commander David Kabena has however confirmed that the incident was booked at Shisiru Police Post and investigations are underway to bring to book the perpetrators.
Tunaendelea kufanya uchunguzi ya hii mtoto kama kweli ilikuwa contraceptives, na hawa wengine watatu tunatafuta wao ndio wakuja wa make statement ndio tujue vile tutafanya investigation yetu, ndio tujue hasa ile chanzo ya hii maneno ni wapi, kwa sababu wote ni below 18. Wa kwanza ni wa 16 years, wa pili 15 years, wa tatu 14 years, na wa nne 12 years.
Mulindi Kerry, TV47 in the county of Kakamega.
And in sports, Harambee Stars centre-back Joash Onyango has completed his move to Tanzanian champions Simba SC, and the 27-year-old who has spent a 2-year deal joins former Gor Mahia teammates Francis Kahata and Medi Kagere, who moved to Simba in 2019. And Kenyan Women Basketball League side Zetech Sparks is reeling from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic that has grounded sporting activities in the country. Now, according to head coach Maurice Obilo, the pandemic has halted their plans, hinting at an explosive season upon resumption.
The kids are really missing basketball, I know now it's just maybe individual training, study, because they are still studying, and nothing else. So, and the kids who are they're very active. They're used to playing. We really respect every team that in the league. We're just getting prepared to play anyone. As like any other years, Zetech, we always prepare to play any team.
And the Barcelona defense will once again be put to test tonight as the My name is Mombi Chege. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Anne Wairimo. I'll be leaving you with the weather forecast. Have a blessed night.